What if an experiment didn't hurt you immediately, but slowly, day after day, until the damage became permanent? In Sweden, that's exactly what happened. Patients inside a hospital were fed enormous amounts of sugar, not by accident, on purpose. Scientists wanted to know exactly how tooth decay worked, so they watched as healthy teeth slowly began collapsing, and many of the people involved couldn't truly consent. This became known as the Vipeholm experiments, one of the most controversial medical studies in modern Scandinavian history. The experiments began during the 1940s at Vipeholm Hospital in Sweden. The hospital housed patients with intellectual disabilities and psychiatric conditions. Many depended entirely on the institution for care, and many had little ability to fully understand what was happening to them. At the time, scientists and public health officials were desperately trying to understand tooth decay. Dental disease was widespread, and sugar consumption was increasing rapidly across Europe. Researchers believed they needed stronger evidence, clear proof about how sugar damaged teeth, so they designed an experiment, one that would intentionally expose patients to conditions known to cause decay for science. The study focused on one question: how exactly does sugar cause cavities? To find out, patients were given large amounts of sweets every day, but not just ordinary candy. Researchers used especially sticky sugary products designed to stay attached to the teeth as long as possible. The goal wasn't moderation. The goal was damage. At first, nothing dramatic happened. Then, slowly, the effects appeared. Small cavities formed, teeth weakened, decay spread deeper into the mouth. Some patients developed severe dental deterioration, and because the experiment lasted for years, the damage became permanent. Researchers carefully documented everything, every cavity, every stage of decay. The patients themselves became living test subjects in a controlled breakdown of human teeth. What makes the Vipeholm experiments so disturbing is that the suffering wasn't accidental. The damage was intentional. Researchers needed measurable results, and cavities became the evidence. At the time, ethical standards in medical research were far weaker than today, especially when experiments involved institutionalized patients. The people inside Vipeholm had limited power, limited freedom, and limited ability to refuse participation. Yet the experiment continued for years because scientifically it worked. The results clearly showed the connection between frequent sugar consumption and severe tooth decay. The study would later become highly influential in dentistry worldwide, but the ethical cost remained hidden beneath the scientific success. Despite the controversy, the Vipeholm experiments dramatically changed public health understanding. Researchers discovered that frequent sugar exposure, especially sticky sugar consumed between meals, caused the greatest dental damage. These findings influenced modern dental recommendations around the world. Guidelines about sugar consumption, snacking, and cavity prevention were shaped directly by the study. In many ways, modern dentistry was built partly on the suffering of the Vipeholm patients, and for years, the ethical concerns surrounding the experiments received little public attention because the scientific results were considered extremely valuable. But eventually, people began asking a difficult question: can scientific progress truly be called progress if it depends on harming vulnerable people? Today, the Vipeholm experiments remain deeply controversial, not because the science was incorrect, but because of how the knowledge was obtained. The patients trusted the institution caring for them, and instead, their health was intentionally damaged for research. The experiment became part of a much larger conversation about medical ethics, consent, human dignity, and the responsibility scientists hold toward vulnerable people. Because history repeatedly shows something uncomfortable. When research promises valuable results, ethical boundaries can become dangerously flexible, especially when the subjects have little power to resist. In the end, the Vipeholm experiments changed dentistry forever, but they also left behind a warning. Because science can improve lives, but without ethics, it can also justify suffering. And sometimes, the people who pay the highest price for progress are the ones least able to say no.